Have you ever wondered who invented the camera? If you're a photography enthusiast, you'll be intrigued to know that the first camera wasn't really a camera. Let's travel back in time, all the way to the ancient Greeks and Chinese. They observed a fascinating phenomenon, a principle that would eventually lead to the birth of photography. They noticed that when light passed through a small hole into a darkened room or box, an inverted image of the outside world was projected onto the opposite wall. This was the camera obscura, the ancestor of all modern cameras. Now, the camera obscura wasn't quite a camera as we know it. It didn't capture or store images, it simply projected them. A dark room, a tiny hole, and a little bit of magic, that was all it took. But it was a start, a very important start. In the 15th century, artists like Leonardo da Vinci used the camera obscura as a drawing aid. By the 17th century, the concept had been miniaturized into portable boxes. Yet, the images were still fleeting, disappearing as soon as the light source changed. It was a beautiful, ephemeral spectacle, but a spectacle nonetheless. The real game changer came with the pinhole camera. This was essentially a camera obscura, but with a light-sensitive material at the back. The light passing through the pinhole would form an image on this material, and voila, we had a captured image. But remember, this was still far from the click-and-capture convenience we enjoy today. The images were faint and required long exposure times, sometimes even hours or days. And there was no way to make multiple copies of the same image. In spite of these limitations, these early devices laid the foundation for the future development of cameras. They sparked the imaginations of inventors and artists alike, setting the stage for the photographic revolution that was yet to come. So the journey of the camera begins not with a device, but with a dark room and a tiny hole. The concept of the camera was there, but how did we move to capturing and preserving those images? This question led to a significant milestone in the history of photography, the invention of the daguerreotype by Louis Daguerre in the 19th century. Though the camera obscura had been around for centuries, it was Daguerre's invention that truly revolutionized photography. The daguerreotype, named after its inventor, was the world's first practical method of taking a photograph. It was a game changer, a leap from ephemeral projections to images that could be preserved for posterity. Louis Daguerre, a French artist and photographer, started his journey by experimenting with the camera obscura. He wasn't alone in this endeavor. Daguerre partnered with Nicephore Niepce, another French inventor, who had already been making strides in the field of photography. But it was after Niepce's death that Daguerre made his remarkable breakthrough. The daguerreotype process was a seemingly magical one. It involved treating a silver-plated sheet of copper with iodine vapor to make it light-sensitive, then exposing it in a camera. The image was developed using mercury vapor and fixed with a solution of common table salt. The result was a finely detailed, one-of-a-kind positive image. The invention of the daguerreotype marked the dawn of photographic cameras. For the first time, people could capture and preserve moments, not just in their memories or through paintings, but as tangible, visual records. This was a significant evolution in the field of photography, opening up new possibilities and transforming the way we perceive and interact with the world. The daguerreotype was not without its drawbacks. It was a labor-intensive process, and the images, while beautiful, were fragile and could be easily damaged. But it was the spark that ignited the flame, the first step on a journey that would lead to the creation of the cameras we know and use today. With the daguerreotype, we stepped into a new era where moments could be captured and preserved forever. This was the dawn of photographic cameras, a revolution that would forever change how we remember and share our lives. The daguerreotype was revolutionary, but it was hardly a device you could carry around. So, how did we get to the portable cameras we know today? Well, let's take a step back to the late 19th century when a man named George Eastman entered the scene. Eastman was not a professional scientist or an inventor, but he had a knack for innovation and a keen interest in photography. He realized that the cumbersome process of using wet plates was a significant barrier to making photography more accessible. With this in mind, Eastman set out to simplify the process. He developed a dry, transparent, and flexible photographic film that could be rolled up. This was a game changer. It meant that photographers no longer had to carry around heavy glass plates and dangerous chemicals. Instead, they could load a small roll of film into their camera and take many pictures without having to reload. But Eastman didn't stop there. He wanted to make photography so simple that anyone could do it. So in 1888, he introduced the Kodak camera. It was small, lightweight, and easy to use. For the first time, photography was not just for professionals or dedicated hobbyists. It was for everyone. The Kodak camera came preloaded with a roll of film that could take 100 pictures. Once the roll was finished, the entire camera was sent back to the Kodak company. They would develop the pictures, reload the camera with a new roll of film, and send it back to the customer. It was a process that Eastman famously summarized in the slogan, "You press the button, we do the rest." This invention did more than just make photography portable. It democratized it. It brought the magic of capturing moments into the hands of the everyday person. It turned photography from a specialized craft, practiced by a select few, into a popular hobby enjoyed by many. The invention of the roll film camera turned photography from a specialized craft into a popular hobby. And that's how we embarked on the journey towards the portability and convenience of cameras we know today. Film cameras brought photography to the masses, but the digital revolution was about to take it a step further. The first digital camera was born in the labs of Eastman Kodak in 1975, thanks to an engineer named Steven Sasson. This camera was as big as a toaster, weighed around 8.5 pounds, and took black and white images at a resolution of 0.01 megapixels. It was a far cry from the sleek devices we carry in our pockets today, but it was the start of a revolution. The digital camera journey was a slow and steady one. It took almost 20 years from Sasson's invention for the first commercially available digital camera to hit the market. This was the Logitech Photoman, which was released in 1990, but the true game changer came in the form of the Nikon D1 in 1999. This was the world's first fully digital SLR camera, and it marked the beginning of the end for film photography. Digital cameras democratized photography in a way that film cameras simply could not. They made it possible for anyone to take a photo, see the results instantly, and take another if they weren't happy. No more waiting for film to be developed, no more wasted shots. This was a huge shift in the photographic landscape. But the digital revolution did more than just change how we take photos. It also changed how we share and store them. With the advent of digital cameras, photos could be stored on memory cards, transferred to computers, and shared online. This opened up a whole new world of possibilities for photographers, from online galleries to social media sharing. The digital revolution not only changed how we take photos, but also how we share and store them. It was a transformative moment in the history of photography, and its impact is still being felt today. Today, you don't even need a separate device to take high-quality photos. How did cameras find their way into our phones? The journey of the camera into our phones began in the early 21st century. The first camera phone, the J phone by Sharp, was unveiled in Japan in the year 2000. It had a modest 0.11 megapixel camera, and it was a start. But technological advances were fast and relentless. Within a few years, camera phones had become commonplace. They were no longer a novelty, but a standard feature. And not just a standard feature, but a selling point. Consumers began to expect their phones not just to make calls and send messages, but to capture memories in a snapshot. As manufacturers competed to produce the best camera phones, the quality of these tiny cameras improved dramatically. The megapixel race was on. By 2010, we saw phones with 8-megapixel cameras, and today, 48-megapixel cameras are not uncommon. But it's not just about the megapixels. It's about the lenses, the sensors, the software. It's about the ability to capture not just a picture, but a moment, to freeze time in a frame, and all of this in a device that fits in your pocket. The integration of cameras into phones has democratized photography in a way that nothing else has. Today, anyone with a smartphone is a potential photographer. Anyone can capture a moment, tell a story, share a perspective. It's not just about capturing memories anymore. It's about expressing oneself. The camera phone has not only transformed the way we communicate, but also the way we see the world. It has turned us all into observers, documenters, storytellers. It has brought the world closer, made it more intimate, more immediate. From a dark room with a hole to a device that fits in our pocket, the journey of the camera is a testament to human innovation and creativity.